folks, well, last night was the American Idol Season 9 auditions in Dallas, Texas. It's the city that Kelly Clarkson was first discovered in so many years ago. I swear, every time they showed those old clips from Season 1, I couldn't help but notice how amateur it all seemed. I mean, I know they didn't have the big budget that they have now, but it looked like those auditions were filmed in somebody's basement. And Simon Cowell, wasn't he just atrocious in Season 1? He's actually pretty handsome now, but he wasn't handsome back then. But speaking of handsome men, the guest judge for the first half of the show was Neil Patrick Harris, known better to most of us as Little Doogie MD. I don't think I had ever actually sat down and watched him in anything else until last night, but I gotta say, I think I'm in love now. If he weren't already involved, I would probably ask him to marry me. He has been the best guest judge this season. I think he was better than Shania Twain and Katy Perry put together. He said his goal was to shatter the dreams of thousands, and if he can make 2 or 3 dozen people cry, then he's done his job. I still believe that he's at the top of the list to be the host of the X Factor. Or after last night's show, maybe they'll ask him to be a judge. That would be cool. The second guest judge for the second half of the show was Joe Jonas, the good-looking Jonas. I always thought the other brothers were a little bit plain to look at, but Joe Jonas is pretty good-looking. He really was pretty useless as a guest judge, but I think that's to be expected. I don't think they really asked him to be there for his expert opinion. His job was to sit there at the judge's table and look pretty, and he did a good job at that. Somebody's got to sit there and look pretty now that Paula Abdul's not there anymore. Anyway, the first audition was Julie Kevelighan. She first auditioned in Season 1, and she wasn't quite as good as Kelly Clarkson, so she decided to try again this year. And she came in with a poster of herself, a poster that said, "This is my year," and as Neil Patrick Harris pointed out, she ran out of room at the end. Maybe next year she might want to use a stencil and try again. She sang Black Velvet, and she looked like old-school Tanya Harding, getting ready to go out on the skating rink. Maybe I thought she might end up bashing in Simon Cowell's knees, but she didn't do it. Maybe she'd have her husband do it. Well, of course she sucked, and she blamed that on not breathing right. It was a no for her. Security had to escort her out because she kept trying to sing different song after different song, and it just wasn't working out. The second audition was Lloyd Thomas. He calls himself Big Sexy. And he had a pretty silly personality, and from the clips they were showing him at first, I thought it was going to be a silly audition, and then they got into that, I was raised in the projects, and I'm trying to make a better life for my kids, and so I didn't know quite what to expect when he came in, but he was actually pretty good. He sang Overjoyed by Stevie Wonder, and I liked it. I thought it was good. Simon said that it was the best that he had seen all day. 2 auditions in. I thought it was good, but I think the biggest obstacle he has to overcome is the Ruben Studdard comparisons, which I think are a little bit unfair to him because he really didn't sound like Ruben and didn't look like Ruben in the face, but he's an overweight black man, and so he's going to get the Ruben Studdard comparisons all the time. But I thought he was fun. I really liked him. Next was Kimberly Carver. She sang an original song, and I liked it. It was kind of jazzy, but as Simon said, it was kind of old-fashioned, but so are 95% of the other auditions that Simon Cowell thinks are nice and current. Simon's taste in music is a little bit off. Randy said, "You can blow, man." Simon gave her a no, but the others gave her a yes. Kimberly said, "Thank God for Neil Patrick Harris. I'm going to have to go home and watch Doogie Howser again." Don't bother. Next was Dexter Ward. He said that he was 100% sure that he was going to be America's Idol. He sang If I Ever Fall in Love, and it sucked. Randy said that it looked like it hurt, and of course he got 4 no's and left in tears. Don't these people ever record themselves singing and then listen back to it and say, "Wow, that just wasn't any good"? Next was Erica Rhodes. She used to be a Barney kid, and now she wants to shed that child actor image. She said she was so childlike when she was on Barney. Well, of course you were. Most people that are 8 years old are very childlike. I seriously doubt that she gets recognized that often as a Barney kid. If she didn't mention it, 99% of people wouldn't even know. She actually felt the need to let people know that Barney kids do grow up. That's funny because I thought that Barney put this spell on them that caused them to be eternally prepubescent. Why is it that a lot of these child actors feel the need to prove that they're adults by getting overly sexual? She came in dressed as a dominatrix, and maybe they should just start going the Gary Coleman route. Did you all see his mugshot the other day? He was arrested for assault. How many of you would be too ashamed to call 911 after getting your ass kicked by Gary Coleman? I know I would. I thought that mugshot was hilarious, though. She sang the Barney theme first, and then she sang Free Your Mind, and the judges ate it up and just gave her 4 yeses. I didn't get it. I didn't think she was that good. I didn't like her voice at all, and if it wasn't for the gimmick and the fact that she was a Barney kid, I don't think she would have made it. Next was Dave Pittman. He has Tourette's syndrome, which causes him to twitch and clear his throat, but it doesn't affect him while he's singing. Did you know that about 10% of people with Tourette's syndrome uncontrollably shout profanities? I hope he doesn't do that. I don't think he's that bad, but if he is, then that would pose a problem for the live shows. But he sang a country song. He sang a song. I can't even speak. He had a nice little country sound to him, and I thought he was great. The judges loved it. He got 4 yeses. And that was it for day one and for Neil Patrick Harris. And now it was time for Joe Jonas to come in and look pretty and not say a word. I think he said yeah 3 times. And I think he ended up muttering out a short little sentence by the end of the show. But that was about it. The next audition was Todrick Hall. He was in The Color Purple with Fantasia, and from what I read online, he was also a writer and director of a production that scammed little children. Isn't that classy? He sang a song that he wrote to the judges, and it was great. It was the most entertaining audition of the night. I don't know if it was really the song. I think the song was more impressive than the voice. But the voice was pretty good, too. He was still good. So he got 4 yeses. Next, we saw short clips from Dawntoya Thomason and Stephanie, I don't know how to say her last name, who both got 4 yeses, along with Michael Castro. Next was Megan Wright. She sang To Make You Feel My Love, and it was okay. The judges loved her, but I didn't think she had anything on Chris Allen. I loved it when he sang that song, and hers was just okay. Kara thought she was going to be a joke by the way that she was dressed, and Simon says, well, if that's what makes you comfortable. I didn't think she was dressed that bad. They acted like she come in looking like dollar store trash. I thought she looked okay, though. I think Kara's a joke despite the way she's dressed. Next was Vanessa Johnston. She said she wants people to see her on TV and say, wow, I need to be happy all the time like her. And after watching her audition, I want to be just like her. She sang it last, and it was all over the place. I don't think she was really being serious, though. Simon said that that's what his nightmares look and sound like. And the last of the night was Christian Spears, who was diagnosed with leukemia when she was 4 years old. She's been in remission, though, since she was 8, for 8 years now. So, good for her. She sang All I Can Do Is Cry, and it was okay. I wasn't quite as excited as the judges were, but with her story, we all knew that she was going to get a yes before she ever even opened her mouth. So, next Tuesday is the last auditions in Denver, Colorado, with Victoria Beckham as the guest judge again. I guess that they thought she would make such a good impression that they invited her back for a second time, but she really didn't. And I've read rumors online that Simon Cowell has offered her buku money to be a judge on the X Factor. People don't really like her that way. I don't know how she is on the other side of the pond. Maybe people like her over there. But here, everybody I know, the only reason they know who she is because her husband looks good without a shirt on. I mean, other than that, she would be one of those Spice Girls that nobody really cares about anymore. Anyway, then next Wednesday is The Road to Hollywood with Ellen DeGeneres. Finally. I'll see you folks later.